How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Double Pebble. Right, so recently some of you has commented on my videos that you would like a videos to explain how the different attributes are working together in a game, as well as how they affect the players, so on and so forth. And today I finally have the time to get around to doing this. So this is likely to be a long video because I do have quite a lot of stuff to cover. Treat this like a mini lecture, you know, grab a drink, sit back, relax and listen to what I have to say. So I will talk about, first I will explain how different attribute works and what do they mean, and then secondly I will talk about how these attributes are important for each position, and lastly I'll talk about the most important one, which is how different attributes will work together to give you the complete package. Okay, so let's not waste any time and get into the explanation now. So we start off with strength. Now strength is pretty obvious to explain. It just basically means how strong a player is. So for example, players like Lukaku, Drogba, Thiago Costa, John Terry, Nemanja Vidic, all these are very strong players that you guys know, and the higher stat basically means that the higher the strength is, the stronger they are. And to me, strength is one of the most important attribute in the game, you know, in the sense that every single position bar the goalkeeper has to have good strength, including, which means your defenders, your midfielders and forwards, all of them should have good strength. Reason being, all these outfield players, you don't want them to be outmuscled. It is extremely annoying when you are in possession and you see your players get outmuscled by the opponent, okay, and then they start the counter attack. It's very annoying, and that is why I try to make sure that every single player in my game has decent, in my team, okay, sorry, has decent strength. I recently switched out Iniesta for Kaká. Kaká has slightly lower strength at 94. I think he's the one with the lowest strength in my team, but he's got height and build, so that also contributes to his tankiness. Okay, so let's now talk about the next attribute, which is stamina. So stamina is also pretty obvious. Is how long that person can continue running. So to me, the most important position that needs stamina are your midfielders, because they are the one that goes up and down the pitch. Okay, and if you know how I defend, I always make my midfielders sprint back into position, and they need a lot of stamina for that. So when you have low stamina, for example my PK, now World Best PK is famous for having low stamina right now before the update. So if you look at my PK is 113, that is with a +10 medical coach. Okay, without the medical coach it is 103, and late in the game he is normally left with very little stamina left without the medical coach, of course. And when I try to sprint for a prolonged period, he ends up with cramp, or I will just let go of the sprint button and he can't get back into position quickly. So that is the danger of having low stamina in your midfielders. It is moderately important for your forwards as well, because late game, you, let's say you are clear on goal, you want to have the stamina to continue sprinting all the way to the opponent's goal. Okay, it's not so important for your defenders because generally their stamina will remain very high in the game, right, late in the game. Okay, next one is also a very important attribute, is acceleration. The difference between acceleration and sprint is, acceleration is how fast you get to your top speed, sprint is your top speed. Okay, so if you ask me, I would say acceleration is super important for your forwards, because what you want to do for them is to give them a chance to get away from your defenders within the first 10 meters. Okay, so if you think about players like Samuel Eto'o, Lionel Messi, these are players with super high acceleration, and it gives them that extra space within the first 10 meters to get away from defenders. And sometimes that extra space, that little bit of space, is all you need to get a shot away or to leave your defenders for dead. Okay, so acceleration is super important for your forwards, not so important for the midfielders, to be honest, because these are transition players. You know, you don't need them to beat and outrun other midfielders. For defenders, it is moderately important because you want to be able to keep up with the attackers who are generally faster. Okay, next, sprint. Sprint, like I said, is top speed. once again, it's very important for your forwards because not only you want your forwards to be able to get away from defenders within the first 10 meters, you also want them to be able to maintain the distance, okay, over a longer distance, because sometimes the opponent's defenders are pushing very high up, so you have a long distance away from their goal and you have to sprint. So if your sprint is low but your acceleration is high, it means that you will get away from them, but then they will be able to catch up. So you still want good sprint, okay? Midfielders, once again, not so important. You can actually survive with slow midfielders. For defenders, sprint is moderately important depending on your style of defending. For my style of defending, sprint and accelerations are both not as important. But if you are the type that presses a lot, then sprint is definitely important, okay? Next is jump. So jump is once again obvious, how high you can jump, but it does not mean that you have high jump means you are super good at heading, okay? I'm going to be explaining that in the synergy portion of this video later on. Jump, generally important for your defenders, definitely super important for your defenders, because in the event that high ball comes into the box, whether from cross or a high through ball, your defender has to be able to jump high enough to hit the ball away. It is also important for your forwards, especially for people who play the crossing game like me. If they have low jump, they have no chance of winning headers, okay? Not so important for midfielders as well. Now, agility, maybe it is not so obvious what agility is. Some of you might be confused. So in a layman's term, agility means how well you can twist and turn, or how nimble a player is. So if you think back to players that are very good dribblers, generally players like Messi, Ribery, Robben, who else? Hazard, you know, this sort of players, they are very nimble, you know, they are like, or even Suarez, you know, they are able to twist and turn like fluid. So that will come in very handy in the opponent's third, which means that agility is very, very important for your forward. And that is why I actually spend a lot of EP to make my forward coach agility +4 rather than jump +4, because agility is something that is very important for forwards. When you receive the ball, let's say your striker receives the ball, most of the time they are swarmed by defenders all over the place because it's so crowded in the opponent box. So with that little bit more agility, you can turn away from them as compared to a low agility player like Drogba. And that is why there's one big weakness with Drogba, in the sense that he always loses the ball easily because of his low agility. He gets the ball, it's very hard for him to turn away from defenders, okay? So it is not important at all for defenders, because all they have to do is win the ball and put it up, you know, clear it away. They don't have to beat mans. For midfielders, I would say it's generally moderately important, okay, because sometimes they still have to be able to turn away from men, especially when they are near the opponent's penalty area. So it's moderately important for midfielders, alright? Okay, next, balance. Balance basically means how well they can maintain their balance and not fall down, right? So it is very important for wingers especially, because they have to take a lot of damage and you don't want to fall down. It's quite important for your forwards, generally forwards, because once again, forwards are the ones that take a lot of damage from defenders, so they have to be able to keep their feet. And if you realize, right, sometimes them, whether they fall down or not, really will change that particular attack, in the sense that if, let's say, they take a tackle from the defender, alright, they manage to keep their footing, keep their balance, they can continue with the ball, and that would probably means a shooting opportunity, as compared to you take a damage and you fall and the attack ends, okay? So it's super important for your forwards, not so important for your midfielders and your defenders. So generally, agility and balance are more attributes that are useful when you take a lot of damage, alright? By damage, I mean tackles and physical contact from your defenders, alright? Okay, sliding tackle. Sliding tackle obviously is very low for Ronaldo. It's for defenders lah. Okay, so it's how well they slide a tackle. So I cannot actually feel the difference between high and low sliding tackle. I would say maybe for if I put Ronaldo in defense and I do a slide tackle, maybe because of his low sliding tackle he misses the tackle. Yeah, but generally it's important for defenders, not so important for your midfielders and your strikers. Dribbling. Okay, dribbling is self-explanatory lah. It's how well he can dribble. So for players with high dribbling, it means that he can beat defenders easily. Okay, normally high dribbling has to be coupled with high ball control lah. I'll talk about that later on more. It is important for your forwards definitely. So like I said, in the crowded box with good dribbling, he might be able to beat a man or two and get the shot away. Moderately important for midfielders because sometimes the midfield areas can get congested and you want to be able to beat maybe the closest marker that you have so they can get the pass away. So dribbling is moderately important for midfielders, definitely not important for defenders, and I think you guys know why. Next, ball control. Now ball control is how well the player can command the ball with his feet. So if let's say the ball control is low, a few things can happen. One is if he has low dribbling and low ball control, he loses the ball very often. Next, if low ball control, it also could mean that if you put a long ball up to your striker and he has low ball control, he might take a lot of touches to get the ball under control. I'm sure all of you have experienced this. You put a long ball forward, your defender, your attacker, your strikers for example, slows down, takes a touch, the ball bobbles, takes another touch, the ball still bobbles and takes a third touch before the ball is under his command. But by the time the defender is already by your side on your right, tackling you already. So that is the key to ball controls. For very high ball control players like Ronaldo or Ibrahimovic, right? I think Ibrahimovic has also very high ball control. Yeah, 115. What you notice is that let's say you put in a long ball, a high through, all they take is one touch, at most two touch, and they are away already. So that will reduce the chance of defenders tackling them. So ball control definitely very important for strikers, moderately important for our midfielders, not so important for our defenders as long as you don't try and do anything stupid with them. Take the ball and pass it out. If you try to dribble with your defenders, then really I can't help you. Alright. Marking, once again, an important stat for defenders. So marking is how well they stick to attackers lah. So for defenders it's definitely important because you want your defenders to stick tight to your attackers and not lose them, because once they lose them, a high ball comes in and you are dead. Okay, so marking definitely important for defenders, not so important for the other positions. Okay, tackling. So tackling is also basically how well they win the ball back lah. So for defenders it's super important, and tackling works in conjunction with a lot of other factors that I'll talk about later. But generally, I would say it's moderately important for your midfielders, because midfielders are also in charge of winning balls back from the midfield, so they have to be able to tackle and win the ball back. So for defenders, super important. Okay, next is crossing. So crossing is you guys know how well you can deliver a ball into the box. So generally, high crossing means you can supposedly the cross or the long pass into the box is more accurate. But to be honest, it's not something that is tangible, in the sense that you can't really feel or visibly see the difference between a high cross and a low cross player. I would theorize that when a player has low crossing stats, it means that the chance of him crossing badly is higher lah. I mean, I've seen occasions whereby the cross is really ridiculous one, totally nowhere near the target. So if you have a player with higher crossing stat, the chances of that occurring should be lower. Important for wingers definitely, moderately important for midfielders, in the sense that sometimes they might venture into the wings and then you want them to put a cross in. Okay. Very quickly, let's move on to passing. So short passing is between a short distance, how well you can pass a ball from one point to another point. Important, very very important for your midfielders definitely. Not so important for defenders and forwards, but it's also not very visible. Like players with low short passing can still pass the ball to their target with no problem. And then in the same vein, players with very high passing can still get their passes intercepted if as a controller you make them pass anyhow lah, okay? So most of the time passing is determined by you. So if you make safe passes, even if his shot passing is only 50, I'm sure you can pass the ball to the other guy, okay? Next is finishing. So finishing super important for your forwards. It just means how well you can finish and put the ball into the back of the net. So obviously you want your strikers to have very high finishing. It's good to have midfielders with high finishing as well, because sometimes they do get into the box and you want them to be able to score. Long pass is similar to short pass in the sense, but it's just the same explanation, except that this is over a longer distance. Mainly controlled by you again, so it's not so critical, I would say. For example, PK can still put in long, nice through balls, long pass to the flanks, as long as you as a controller do it well lah, okay? Okay, shot power just means how hard he can shoot the ball. It is important for midfielders definitely, because they long shot a lot, and also important for forwards because they do have chances of long shooting, okay? Not important for defenders at all, totally. Okay, heading. Heading means how well they can hit the ball, obviously. Super important for defenders because they must hit the ball. Not only must they be able to hit the ball, they must hit the ball well by heading it away from danger. So if you have bad headers, defenders with bad headers, right? Sometimes their headers are so soft, or there's no direction, you hit straight to the opponent. So you want to have very high heading for defenders. For strikers as well, very important, because if you hit the ball, you want to aim for the corner near the bottom of the net, so it makes it difficult for the goalkeeper to catch. If your heading is low for strikers, sometimes they will just head it straight to the goalkeeper, making it easy for them. Our job is to make it difficult for goalkeepers, not to make it easier, okay? Not so important for midfielders lah, generally. Even my Kaka, you know, my Kaka scored a lot of headers for me. Kaka, his heading is only 87 at max level with all the boosts and whatnot, but he still can score headers, so not so important for midfielders, okay? Long shot, basically obvious how well you can shoot from distance. Important for midfielders, important for forwards, not important for defenders, okay? Volley means how well you can shoot when the ball is in the air without touching the ground. So it's quite useful for strikers. I wouldn't say it's critical for any positions, but it's quite useful for strikers because sometimes the ball just bounces around and then you don't have the chance to take a touch. So all you press is shoot. And then with high volley, right, he can shoot and rifle it to the bottom of the net or the top of the net. Whereas if you have strikers with low ones, sometimes you just anyhow kick, you know, the ball will go out or roll to the goalkeeper. Direction is not there. I would say it's not a very critical attribute. Short curve is also not a very critical attribute. A short curve basically means for your fitness shot how well the ball curl. So if theoretically, if the shot curve is low, it means that they can't finish shot very well lah. But I have managed to score very nice fitness shot goals with PK, which means that shot curve is not important, okay? So free kick, okay, free kick is free kick lah, free kick, you know how well you can take a free kick. So it's not important except that one person in your team, that one player in your team who is a free kick specialist. Obviously he needs to have high free kicks, the rest not so important. For me, my free kick specialist is Arjen Robben or Ronaldo, okay? It depends on the position on the field, but Arjen Robben has free kicks of 112, so I use him for free kicks, okay? Penalty is also not a very important attribute because why? Normally in game when I get a penalty, I will let Manuel Neuer take it. Okay, Manuel Neuer has ridiculous penalty stats, but he still scores and rifles it into the corner every time, or most of the time lah. Yeah, so it's not important. Now interception, we need to get to interception because interception is super important. Alright, so interception is how well a player can stop a ball getting from point A to point B. So it is very, very, very important for your midfielders because other than tackling and winning the ball back defensively, the midfielders are also in charge of cutting out passes. Okay, so if you have low interception, sometimes you can see the ball just roll past their legs, you know, even though they can touch the ball, but somehow they don't want to touch the ball. So interception is very important for midfielders. It's also very important for defenders as well because you want your defenders to cut out any stray passes rather than let them roll through and let the strikers have a chance at shooting. Okay, so important for midfielders and defenders. Positioning. So positioning is maybe not so clear to everyone. So positioning is how well a player stations at a position. So the best example that I can give you is Thomas Muller. So he's got insane positioning, and be in real life or in game, he seemed to always be at the right place at the right time to tap in the rebound, to get at the end of the crosses, you know what I'm saying. So he seemed to always know where to be to get a goal. It is only important for forwards, to be honest, because forwards, they have to be at the right place at the right time to score goals, be it from rebounds or from crosses or from through pass. Whereas for midfielders, most of the time you are controlling, so you don't really need positioning because you are positioning them yourself, okay? And for defenders, it is something that I've debated with myself very long. Like, is positioning important for defenders? If you look at old school defenders like John Terry, for example, okay, he's an old school defender. He's got very high positioning, okay, 1-1-4, and he performs very well for me. Like, he always seems to be at the right place at the right time to hit the ball away, to tackle the ball, etc. But if you look at PK has very low positioning on the other hand, only 81 at max level, plus 3, okay? But when I put him at CD centre back, okay, centre back, he still is at the right place at the right time to hit the ball away, to tackle away. So my final conclusion is that positioning is not important for defenders as long as their marking is high. That's it. Alright? Next, okay, vision. Vision, we shall probably look at Gerrard. So vision is how well a player can see on the ball, on the field. Very, very important. Why? Because sometimes even though you can see a pass on your screen, okay, and you try to make a pass, the player cannot see on the field. Like inside the game, the player cannot see. The pass will go astray. Okay, so that is very, very, very important to have good vision for your midfielders because they are the one that are pinging passes all over the pitch. Okay, so for example, if let's say you are making a blind pass with your player is facing the left, you try to make him pass to the right without looking, you know, without the player turning there. Sometimes the pass will go astray because the player visibly can't see. Alright, or if you go for a long pass, you can see a long pass. You try go for a long pass, and then the ball either goes straight out of play to the touchline or rolls straight to the goalkeeper. It's because of low vision. They can't see. Alright, of course it's a combination of another long passing stat as well. Okay, so it's important for midfielders. Reaction. Okay, reaction is something that I need to explain a little bit more. So reaction means how fast a player reacts to certain actions on the pitch. So for example, Ibrahimovic has 109 reaction. It means that, which is quite high already. So it means that in the event that a shot comes in and the goalkeeper spills it, or it comes off the crossbar, he is quick enough to react and taps in the rebound. Whereas if you have a player with very slow reaction, sometimes he will just look at the ball fly past his face without reacting because he just cannot react to a rebound, you see. Very important for forwards definitely, not so important for midfielders. Now for defenders, I would say it's also very, very important. Why? Because if you think about players like Pebble, David Luiz, these are players with very low reaction currently. Like currently David Luiz only at 99 plus 2, 99 full level. Sometimes when a long pass comes in, let's say the opponent high through, you will see David Luiz or Pebble just stand there. Just stand there for a split second, not doing anything. You can't press anything because the reaction is just not there. And then that split second is enough for your opponent to get through and shoot on goal already. So that is super critical for defenders with at least decent reaction. I would say at least 80 and above, at least, okay? Next, we look at... We are finishing up already, okay? Next is goalkeeper. Goal kick, this is obvious how well they can kick the ball down the field. Goalkeeper diving is how well they can dive, but the exact how it affects the game is really not visible as well. Generally, goalkeepers can dive, but I would think that the higher the diving stat, the faster they dive down lah. That's what my theory is. Goalkeeper handling. Now, goalkeeper handling is quite important. It means how well they can handle the ball, theoretically, but what it means in actual fact is, let's say there's a long shot coming in. With a goalkeeper with high handling, right, like Neuer, sometimes you will see them catching the ball rather than pushing it or palming it away, and it really just kills the attack because it is dangerous when your goalkeeper has low handling. Sometimes they'll just beat the ball and punch it straight to the opponent, and that is super dangerous. So it's important. Goalkeeper positioning is how well they position themselves on the goal line, so it's important as well, because if the positioning is good, they have a higher chance of catching the ball, obviously. Okay, so goalkeeper reaction, how is it different from reactions? If you look at the goalkeeper stats, there are 6 of them being like important. Both goalkeeper reaction and reaction are important for goalkeeper. Now the difference is goalkeeper reaction is how fast the goalkeeper react to a shooting action. So the first shot that comes in, if the goalkeeper has good reaction, goalkeeper reaction, he will be able to dive and react faster. Now reaction for goalkeeper is how well he react to a rebound, for example. And for I've seen Manuel Neuer world best make double and triple saves. Like he take the first save, he seems to teleport and save the second one, and then teleport and save the third one. You know what I'm trying to say? So it is about rebounds. So if your goalkeeper has very low reaction, like xXzellx Peter Cech, all of you know that xXzellx Peter Cech is one of the best goalkeeper in the game, if not the best. He has very low normal reactions, which means that he can save the first shot easily, but the chance of him saving a rebound is lower. Not saying impossible, but lower, okay? So that's the importance of the difference between goalkeeper reaction and reaction. And that is all the attributes that we have. I hope that I've explained how they are important to each position and what they mean, alright? So let's now quickly go over to the final part of this video, which is how different attribute works together, okay? Alright, so the first thing that we want to be talking about is area ability. Now, area ability basically means how well a player performs in the air. You know, how well he hits the ball, how well he wins the ball in the air, and it is a combination of many different attributes. Now, I only come to realize this after I've used world best John Terry. If you look at world best John Terry, his height is only 183 and he's 90 kg, which means that he's pretty heavy. Naturally, you would suspect that he's not going to be very good in the air. And that was my initial worry when I bought him, because I was afraid that he's going to be losing a lot of high balls. But surprisingly, after using him for a prolonged period, he doesn't lose many high balls. In fact, he's very dominating in the air. And I went to read up on it more online and think about it, and I think I have a very good explanation for it. It's a combination of his jump ability, his strength, his aggression, his heading ability, his natural height, and his area threat traits. Okay, it's a combination of these 6 factors. So the most important one is actually natural height. So a tall player generally has a better chance of winning high ball as compared to a short player. And then strength as well. So obviously when you jump, you need strength to jump. So the stronger your body is, the better you can jump without losing your balance, and balance play a little part in it as well. And then jump is obviously important as well. Jump, the higher it is, the higher you can jump. But even if you have a high jump stat, low strength, before you can reach your max height, you are off balance already. So that really defeats the purpose. And then obviously heading is how well you hit, and aggression as well. Aggression will determine how well he wins the ball in the air. Terry has insane aggression, which means that he's a very physical player. So he can, when he jumps, he's very physical. You guys can imagine it lah. So all these things come together to give you one thing called area ability. So when you want to look for players that are good in the air, not only are you looking at jump and heading, you need to look at aggression, you need to look at strength, you need to look at balance, and obviously the area threat characteristics as well, okay? Okay, next. Okay, next we talk about general pace. Now, general pace is made up of two factors, acceleration and sprint. So, like I said just now, sprint is the top speed, acceleration is the time it takes for them to reach the top speed. If you ask me generally, I would say the acceleration is actually more important than sprint, because acceleration allows you to get away from defenders quickly within short distance. But most people generally like sprint, and that is the norm lah. But if you look at players with higher sprint than higher acceleration than sprint, like Messi, for example, 10U Messi here, it's got very high acceleration, good sprint. I would say 87 is not bad really, good sprint. But in such a format, right, he is super fast over the first 10 meters. Like when the ball is dead, right, like stop the ball, very quickly he's just off already, and he seems to be at top speed already, and that will just leave defenders for dead. So acceleration is super important, but generally we prefer players with high sprint, high acceleration. But if push comes to shove, I prefer players with higher acceleration than sprint, because if it's the other way around, like if you look at my Robin, you know, he's crazily fast, to be honest. He's not slow by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes it does feel like he has problem getting away from defenders initially. Like his sprint is 121, his acceleration is 117. So sometimes he seemed to be stuck there for a little bit, just a split second. So I actually prefer it the other way around. Alright? Okay, passing. So passing, obviously short passing, long passing, and vision as well. So I've just touched on it a little bit just now. They can pass very well, yes, but they can't see, then they can't pass, you see. So they have to be able to see well on the pitch before they can make a pass. So you want to have high vision, high passing. Player like Iniesta, for example. Oh shit, I just changed Iniesta to left wing. Okay, so anyway, you look at Iniesta, he's got a high passing 113, high long passing 110, high vision 113. It means that he can look at every nook and cranny on the field, and then he can pass very well. Okay, so it's important to have high vision to accompany high passing. Okay, another thing is finishing. So finishing, even though the finishing is high, okay, shot power has to be there. Positioning has to be there as well. If not, first thing, if his positioning is low, he don't have a chance to shoot. If his shot power is low, sometimes the ball is not hard enough to beat the goalkeeper. So if you look at Ronaldo, his positioning is 106 currently. His shot power is 115, and then his finishing is 110, which means that he can get into position quickly, he can shoot very hard, and he can shoot very accurately, which is lethal. If you miss any one of these three, right, most of the time you can feel that they are not so good at finishing already. So these three are important for finishing. Okay, last thing before we end this video is defending. Now defending, we need a lot of factors to determine what is a good defender. Now I'm talking specifically about winning the ball back. So winning the ball back is not only about tackling. It's also determined on the player's natural body build, height, weight, body type, you know, body size, tackling obviously, and aggression. Okay, so if you realize some defenders are not aggressive, so sometimes when they go in for a tackle, the ball bounces back off the defender and or off the opponent, you know, the bounce, that random bounce, and then the ball continues on for your opponent and they go on to shoot and score. So that is due to low aggression. So when you tackle, like Terry, right, he hardly loses the ball in a 1v1 tackle. Okay, he tackles, his aggression will make sure that he wins the ball back out, like Vidic as well. Okay, so it's important to have good aggression and good tackling, and size as well. You know, if your size is big, you know, you're tall, you're big, the chance of you coming out with the ball is better. So this is how all these will synergize and work to give you a good defender. Okay, and I think that is all the synergies that I can think of. If you guys can think of more, just drop a comment below and we can discuss further. I've definitely talked enough. Hope you guys find this video helpful. Hope that my explanation of all the attributes are clear. If I've explained any attribute wrongly or they are not clear, just drop a comment below and I will try and explain it there. Alright, and Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and thank you guys for supporting my work. Don't forget to like this video and share this with your friends if you think this is going to be helpful. I'm sorry for the long videos, but there's a lot to cover, and I hope to see you guys next time.